Hello and welcome to MotorMotion E-Series, where we return for the Mercury Walch TCR Cup. It is 2025 and it's time to get back into Season 4. We've had 3 absolutely brilliant races so far and it's time to go to round 4. It is time, of course, to head to Interlagos as the season continues. Mercury Walch, of course, our sponsors of the MotorMotion E-Series TCR Cup. For all your commercial printing, digital printing, direct mail, label printing, large format printing and packaging, please head to www.mercurywalch.com.au. Let's take a look at the calendar. And of course, 3 rounds behind us, the Autopolis International Racing course to open the season, and then round 2 at Tokyo Expressway. Mount Panorama, our first endurance round, of course, of the season. We've got another one happening over in round 7. But today, of course, the focus is on Interlagos, and this place is holy ground yet again. What a calendar we have for us today. Let's take a look at where things are at in terms of the standings. Ryan Spann, after that endurance victory of his at Bathurst for Cooke, finds himself on 198 points, 2 points ahead of Scott Taylor in second place for Gridline Racing. Then it's a 20-point gap back to Nick Pfaff and Asta Racing with Mark Pacheco for Gridline Racing on equal points. This is getting very spicy for that last remaining podium position as we head towards halfway through this season. Campbell Knowles for Team 55 backs us up in P5, of course, so 555, but no 5s in the points, 172 points to his name. In 6th place, it is Luke Stone for Team Capital on 168 points. In the Teams Championship, let's go over there now. It is Gridline Racing on top, and that's as a result, of course, of Andrew Scott not being able to make it to the Bathurst round. Did have a reserve driver in there, but it's not going to bag them the points they need. So that means that Cooke now find themselves in second place. They are 3-time TCR champions, and they are looking to bring that back their way. Then it's Asta Racing, Lightning Motorsport, Team 55, and Team Capital, the remainder of your top 6. Let's head down to the commentary box for Lobby 1 coverage. And here we are in the commentary box. My name is George Cooke. I'll be your lead commentator today. And of course, MotorMotion powered by TrackSpot TV. And we welcome back yet another co-commentator from the TrackSpot TV family, a familiar name. It is Nick Pautasso making a return for Lobby 1 in round 4. Welcome back, Nick. Interlagos, another famous TCR circuit in the history of the TCR Cup here at MotorMotion.
G'day George, g'day viewers. Yes, we are here at Autodromo Jose Carlos Paz, or better known as Interlagos, in the beautiful city of Sao Paulo. We can see the skyscrapers and the beautiful city of Sao Paulo down the west side of the circuit, and it is a beautiful track. Interlagos, very well renowned for the very passionate Brazilian fans, very passionate for motorsport, for football, for any sports that a Brazilian owns. They are really passionate, and motorsport is really humbling to this country as well. And we are bringing season 4 of the Mercury Walch TCR Cup here in season 2025. It's going to be an absolute cracker here, George. This track is so good, it is so much fun, and there's a lot of chances for overtakes and a couple of corners there's a lot of corners where you can actually make some really decisive moves, whether it's the first lap or the last lap.
Exactly right. It's all about that infield, really, at the end of the day, and making sure you get through there, manage your tyres, manage your strategy really well. And we're hearing from the pit lane that we've got a split strategy today. Is it going to be the 1-stopper? Is it going to be the 2-stopper? Let's take a look at our qualifying results from Lobby 1, and this is how it lines up on the top 4 spots of the grid. It is Andrew Scott back in the car, of course, this week. For Cooke, and it's a Cooke 1-2 with Ryan Spann there in second place. Bit of a gap in terms of times here. Andrew Scott with a 1:37.738, and he is quite a distance ahead of Ryan Spann there, just over 0.4 of a second. Then it's Luke Stone for Team Capital. This is a great name to see up here in third place. Team Capital are in this championship, and Luke Stone is one of the faster drivers on the grid, as is Nick Pfaff, who'll be lining up next to him on the second row of the grid for Asta Racing. Nick, this is going to be a very spicy opening couple of laps with 4 drivers likely on alternative strategies and alternative tires. This is going to be pretty wild.
Absolutely, and it just brings me back to what we saw in Bathurst at round 3, where we saw Ryan Spann take a really dominant victory, but now he's got his faster, more experienced teammate in Andrew Scott setting a 1:37.7 and putting just under 5/10 clear of his teammate. That is really setting a stagger, a dagger to the heart, saying, "I'm here, I'm back, I'm ready to take the victory, and I want to take this championship lead off you, Ryan Spann." But also good qualifying performances from Luke Stone and Nick Pfaff. We saw those two really duking it out at Mount Panorama, where Nick Pfaff got on top, but Luke Stone only a few hundredths away from Ryan Spann. That's a really solid performance there by both the drivers in third and fourth.
Certainly is. And now that we start this American leg of the championship, we have Michelin Raceway ahead of us, Trial Mountain, difficult circuits. We're going to see a lot of this come down to the tuning, the setup of the car, and then the execution of that strategy, which is what you alluded to. Today, folks, it's 26 laps. Hard tyres are going to be the required tyre. Late morning for Lobby 1, afternoon for Lobby 2. And there's a weather component here today. C05, bit of cloud. So not going to have the hot track that we're used to at this Interlagos destination. I think it's time to go racing. Let's head down on track and get this Lobby 1 underway. Here we go, the lights are going on. Nick and I are very excited in the commentary box today for this one. It's Ando Scott, of course, on the top spot. Inside line, though, for those who start in the second or the even-numbered positions. Bit of helter-skelter stuff happening at the back of the grid. A couple of position changes as some don't get off the line correctly. Ryan Spann defending the inside line from Nick Pfaff, who's launched himself in front of Luke Stone. Pretty cloudy day out there at the moment as we head to this late morning session. And that is Spann defending nicely against Nick Pfaff and Luke Stone, airborne under a lot of pressure from P1 Skippy. As Trev would say, he's skipping along, Skippy the kangaroo, and he wants that position. He wants it now in the number 15 car, and down into turn 4 we go. It's a big launch up the inside, but it's not going to be lasting. It's going to be taken back by airborne. Campbell Knowles is a wily contender, and he knows how to defend early in a race like this.
Yeah, absolutely. A great start from all drivers getting off the line very nicely there. Nick Pfaff putting on the pressure to Ryan Spann, but Ando's not really getting away in these early stages. We normally see a very strong opening couple of laps from Ando Scott in P1, but he's got Ryan Spann right behind him. And the two drivers that are more or less likely in the same camp, Team Capital and Asta Racing, working together. Very distinct liveries, but different backings. They're working really hard, and they're really pulling away from Skippy down in P5. So the top four really setting their marks on so far in these early stages of the race, with Ando, Spanny, Nick Pfaff, and Luke Stone at top four, with Skippy down in P5.
Looks like the Me Cougar cars are running on the mediums at the moment. Pfaff's on the softs currently. I get the feeling that Luke Stone is probably on those soft tyres as well. Skippy did successfully make that overtake on Campbell Knowles somewhere through the middle sector of the race, so likely between 7, 8, 9, or 10 in terms of the number of quarters. And we're going to finish this first lap, and it's, Spann. He's under pressure. He holds that inside line beautifully, forces Nick Pfaff to the outside line, and Nick Pfaff with the extra grip is going to try and hold it around the outside, but that is a good bit of defending from Ryan Spann. He'll be a little bit compromised onto this first straight, and we'll see if there's another opportunity for him to make an overtake at 4.
Yeah, very defensive driving there by Ryan Spann. A really good job. I was really a bit surprised with Nick Pfaff not being able to hold the inside line going through the center S's and then going through Curve de Sol. He would have gone for that inside line, but he has made the move now on Ryan Spann down at turn 4. Really beautiful move there, textbook move down the inside. He's going to try and see if he can bring Luke Stone with him and try and get him up into P3. But Ryan Spann on those medium tyres really paying the price early stages. Lap 2 of 26, and Luke Stone is showing the nose on the inside. Can he send it down on the inside of the championship leader? Contact made between the two drivers. They're rubbing side panels, and they're still going to go side by side. Luke Stone trying to hold around the outside in the 53, chasing the 119, but has to stay behind. But he's almost tucking himself right in there. Can he show the nose down the inside? No, he doesn't. He stays behind Ryan Spann. You can see that all that battling has compromised both Ryan Spann and Luke Stone. They're losing time to Skippy, but most importantly, they're losing time to the front too.
Yep, and they need to stay within that slipstream range, and Ryan Spann really wanted an apex at turn 8, but unfortunately for him, Luke Stone was there denying the opportunity to turn on in, but now he's under a lot of more pressure. Luke Stone's going to have the speed, he's got the grip on those racing soft tyres, and that is going to be prime area for overtake, but it'll have to be on the outside line. Ryan Spann will defend the inside, or I think he will defend the inside. Let's see. He's actually trying to open up turn 1 and not compromise his line too much in this early stages, realizing he needs to be within that spitting distance of Nick Pfaff, but he's gone deep into turn 1. Bit of a switchback for Luke Stone, and that's going to launch him out of 3, and this is going to be a real opportunity for the number 53, and it might be that number 4, the number he's missing between those two numbers sequentially is going to be the place for the overtake.
Here he goes down to turn 4. He's going to throw it down the inside. Soft tyres versus medium tyres. No, they actually, Reinspan takes the apex very nicely there. Runs wide at turn 4 going to turn 5, which it gives him a little bit of a slight hesitation on the throttle. And that really allows Luke Stone to catch up. A very impressive start here by the man in P5. And all through the inside. Wow, what a move that was. That just came out of nowhere, George. The 53 up into P3. And what a solid move that was from the team capital driver.
Oh, he sent it. Absolutely sent it. We don't typically see an overtake at that corner into 6 Ferradura, into Curvador, and then that's just tricky place. It's tricky to go up the inside there, but he's used the grip very, very well, and now finds himself in 3rd place and has to start this charge now after these two who are going very, very quickly. Nick Pfaff setting purple sector times. He's got the fastest lap to his name. No surprise there at the moment, being on those racing soft tires. We know that his qualifying time wasn't quite as quick as Andrew Scott, but the medium tire is going to be costing them just that little bit. A move, I think nearly a desperate move there for Andrew Scott to hold the inside line. Didn't want to give any kind of gap for Nick Pfaff to make it on through, but he's going to have a nose ahead potentially into the braking zone. Let's see it to turn 1. It's going to be very, very tight between these two. Nick Pfaff yet again on the outside line, turns on into the inside line. Nothing Andrew Scott can do about that at all, except pray that he's got enough power in the car to make another counter move at turn 4 again.
So the move that he wanted to put on Ryan Spann, he's now actually done it to the race leader. Now Nick Pfaff, the reigning champion from season 2024, has taken the lead on lap 4 of 26 here for round 4 of the Mercury Walch TCR Cup. A nice move, and now he's got that clear air, George. That's the most important couple of words you have to say as a driver. Clear air, cool the tires down. You're on the softs, they will wear a lot faster than the racing mediums. Ando's just playing conservative, running to a number. I'm sure Ryan Spann's doing the exact same thing. And, you know, rewards will be met for the Meat Cougar boys if they hold their patience and they can hold the speed and not lose that slipstream, because once that slipstream is gone, Nick Pfaff will potentially run away and Luke Stone will be now putting the pressure on the 787.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think this is the point where we can start to sort of divine a little bit about the strategies that are being executed today. We do have a mandatory required hard tire, and that's going to be absolutely key, because when we talk about a one-stopper or a two-stopper, this is going to become quite, I think, quite interesting at the end of the day. We've got medium guys for the Meat Cougars. We've got softs for Team Capital, and of course Pfaff and Luke Stone. So they're clearly trying to go fast. This is a strategy we saw executed well at Bathurst, Nick, where people just said, look, we're going to do 5 stints essentially on the soft tire, throw on the hards and the mediums for a very short stint, and then get going. I think there's some that are taking the same philosophy for this race, but we're not quite sure if that's going to work out, or if we try and use the medium tire, extend the stint, get somewhere closer to half race distance. You'd be looking at lap 10, lap 11 at a reasonably decent average pace, then switch on the hards, then go long.
Well, if you look at the fuel tanks, it really determines on where that fuel tank sits. If you're sitting at 50% and you're on at the end of lap 6, before it gets to lap 13, which is kind of where we are in the halfway stages of 26, of which is 13 laps, you have to think about, you have to be more than half a fuel tank at the end of lap 6 going on to lap 7. So it's all about the fuel saving. The fuel economy in these cars is very important. The fuel is very slow in the pit lane as well as the pit transit time. So drivers do have to keep that in mind, that they just have to look at that key number on lap 13. Get that fuel tank to the end there. There is a dial on the GT7 HUD where you can actually see how many laps of fuel left you've got, and by the time it clicks over to lap 5 at the conclusion of lap 5 to the start of lap 6, it needs to say 7 laps to go. And if that doesn't happen, it's going to be risky for a one-stop strategy to work.
Exactly. I don't think the Meat Cougar guys are going to be wanting to push this too hard with the other chaps. If they make an overtake, they make an overtake. They've been pretty hard on the defending so far, because they know that they can hold these guys up, delay their strategy execution, maybe force them to burn that little bit of extra fuel and extra bit of tires on these racing softs, and just force them into an alternative strategy somewhat. But we know that these guys for Meat Cougar are switched on in terms of the practice that they've done, and they'll have done the calculations whether or not the one-stopper or the two-stopper is going to really work out today. If you're on that two-stopper, it's got to be qualifying laps, though, because as you said, Nick, that pit transit time is very slow. And we are in a situation, of course, where you've got to do the refueling at 3 liters a second, slower than most of the series that we see at MotorMotion. So that's going to be absolutely key. We'll keep an eye on that. We are at lap 6, and I think it's time for us to go through the whole grid. Let's see where everyone's ended up. From what we can see, it's going to be Nick Pfaff, Ando, then Luke Stone, Ryan Spann, then it's P1 Skippy in P5, Hogs in P6. See if he's in clean air. He is at the moment. Then it's Airborne, who's actually lost another position. So Hogs has gone on through. Airborne is on the hard tires critically. So that is why we're seeing him lose a bit of time. He's got his teammate behind him in Troy Britnell today in P8. Then it is Spark down in P9 for Rusty Nuts Racing. I think he might be coming in as a reserve today for the team. Then he's got, of course, the owner of Rusty Nuts Racing. It's Rusty himself in P10. Missing a couple of drivers here today. Unfortunate for that. But a couple of these drivers also deciding to start on the hard tyre. Not a bad decision, I think.
Not a bad decision, but then you've got to look at the minimap. You can see the top 4, top 5 really on one end of the track, and you can see from 6th down to 10th, they are actually approaching the final corner right now. So on that minimap, it is a huge discrepancy. The first of the hard drivers, Campbell Knowles in Airborne for Team 55, he's the first one that's on these hard tyres, and to look at the gap between him and Nick Pfaff, you're looking at around about 14, 15 seconds already, and about 15 seconds won't really cover the pit lane. As you see, one of the drivers in the background coming to the pit lane, I believe that is a Rusty Nuts Racing Honda Civic entry. I believe that was Craig Harcourt in Rusty Nuts. But yeah, Campbell Knowles in the number 7 in 7th place, doing a really good job holding onto those hard tires. And he hasn't got too many people behind him because the rest of the field are on the hard tires themselves. That's why Hogs has really pulled out that gap between himself and the 38.
Mate, it does make me wonder though, is Airborne here? Is he thinking, right, we're going to run long on the hard tyre? I mean, generally speaking, you want to be on the softer tyre for as much of the race as possible. That way it sort of offsets the slowness of these racing hards. And here it could be up to 3/4 of a second that you're going to lose per lap. Shorter lap here, of course, at Interlagos. So we saw a substantial deficit between the softs, the mediums, and the hards at Bathurst. It was upwards of a second between each of those tyres. If you're running on the hard tyres, you're going about 2 seconds a lap slower as your ultimate pace. Here it'll be a lot less than that. But it makes me think that if you start on the hard tyres and you stay on it for this long, you've got to be thinking about a one-stop strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we have to kind of go back to what we saw back at Bathurst in round 3, where we saw Ryan Spann running on the medium tyres. He was actually running the same pace as what Nick Pfaff and Luke Stone were doing on racing softs. So it kind of has to show that what these drivers have up their sleeves, the front 4 drivers rather, Nick Pfaff, Ando Scott, Luke Stone and Ryan Spann, that if they can get on the harder compound tyres, can they match similar pace that they would be running if they were on medium tyres? So if Ando and Ryan Spann are going to be jumping on the racing hards and do the one-stop strategy, can they match that same pace? A 1 minute 38.9 as the fastest lap set by Nick Pfaff and also Luke Stone. Not so sure on the lap times of Ando Scott and Ryan Spann, but they wouldn't be too far away. They are hanging on into that midfield pack. They are 39.3. So 4/10 down on pace to Nick Pfaff is actually not that bad, George. And because he's in the middle of that top 4 and he's not losing ground and he's not really coming under pressure from Luke Stone, he's able to hold pace while saving tyres and fuel at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. I mean, right now, the Cougars, despite being on a medium tyre, are equaling the pace and very, very close on track. Nick Pfaff and Luke Stone haven't made any real progress. Luke Stone hasn't been able to get past the medium running Andrew Scott in 2nd place at the moment. And if we take a little look at the racing soft tyres at the moment, I mean, they are not in great condition. I think we've already hit the crossover point between the mediums and the softs.
Well, I'll be very keen to see what the lap times are as they finish lap 8 to start lap 9. I'll be very keen to see what the lap time is. Nick Pfaff isn't really pulling too much away as they cross the start-finish line. Nick Pfaff has set himself up as a 1 minute 39.533. Ando Scott, Luke Stone, Ryan Spann right behind. Ando Scott 39.5, so matching Nick Pfaff's pace, only just slightly a bit faster than the race leader. And then down to Luke Stone at 39.6, so he's lost a bit of time to Ando Scott. His front tyres are really worn out pretty quickly. And then down in P4, Ryan Spann a 39.3. So actually one of the fastest out of the top four is Ryan Spann. And you can see there, he's not closing up to Luke Stone. He doesn't want to. He wants that clear air. He wants to run to his number, and he's just pushing at his own time because he knows the soft tire drivers will start to come back to him. And then down in fifth place, we've got Skippy in P5 for Hassel One Motorsport, doing a really good job holding his own on the racing softs, a 1 minute 40.6. So well off the pace, but has got a really good gap over Hogues in P6.
And he's done a decent job in terms of the fuel saving as well. Hogues down here, similar level of fuel saving, similar level of tires. So there's he's running a little bit slower out on track, but he is doing well to look after the resources on that car. That's going to be absolutely critical as we sort of barrel now towards this first pit stop, or first potential pit stop in this race. A 141.6 for Airborne. He's still got his teammate right behind him, putting a pressure on him. I think, it's of course, Lightning Motorsport and Troy Britnell, who we believe is still the team owner of Lightning Motorsport. He's just saying, get a move on. Come on, mate. I hired you for a reason. Let's go. Let's get this going. Of course, Campbell Knowles, no slouch in the TCR format. He is new to it. It's his first season racing in the TCR Cup, but he is certainly, I think, actually, we might have seen him as a reserve driver, I think, in Season 3 at least once, now that I think about it. He's been driving in MotorMotion for a while, in a number of the different series that we have here. Of course, series for MotorMotion E-Series run across at the moment, four different series across the year. The entry-level Carrera Cup, the Manufacturer Masters, then the TCR Cup, and then the GT3 Champs at the end of the year. And there's some rumors around the supercars coming back, but I don't want to light any fires under the admins to get that all sorted, but it's a series we'd love to see come back as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was a really massive fan of the Surefire Supercar series, whether we've got the same backing for the season for another year of supercar racing. That'll be absolutely exciting. And it's very much like the TCRs. It's all about the tuning. It's all about the levels of downforce and what you can put on the car. It's going to be fantastic. Luke Stone now putting the pressure on Ando Scott. So even though he's got worn tires, he's still applying a lot of pressure there. So the crossover is not really happened just yet, because staying underneath that slipstream of the 787 is really bringing Luke Stone back into play here. He's really putting pressure on Ando Scott, to which is actually helping Nick Pfaff extend his gap a little bit. So we're on lap 10, about to finish lap 10, start of lap 11. I feel as well, with the cloudy conditions here, George, I feel like the racing softs are not being as punished as it would be, say, if it was a really hot, sunny afternoon here at Interlagos, that the tires are actually holding on very nicely and they're not really wearing out as fast as we thought.
Yeah, I think we'd normally see the soft tires start to really wear out at this point as our race leader, Nick Pfaff, comes into the pits. He's got 15 litres on board, and he has decided to pull that trigger early, get himself out, hopefully in clean air, to perform his second stint. So this is going to be a key moment here. We need to know exactly what tyre Nick Pfaff is going to be transferring onto. He's got a lot of refueling to do as well. Suspect that'll be going for a full tank of fuel. We did see one of the drivers beforehand who was on the racing car tyre come out on the softs. Don't believe that was Hogues. He's now in for his pit stop, 11 litres, so already a second difference between those two. That just goes to show how critical it is to save fuel in races like this. Personally, I wouldn't want to be on the racing softs on lap 11. Looking at them right now, I think you'd be doing a little bit of slipping and sliding around the tarmac, acting more like an ice skating rink than a surface with mechanical grip. But nonetheless, I completely agree with Nick there. This is a situation where the tyres are essentially having their life extended by default. Out of the pits comes Nick Pfaff, 100% fuel on board. We've got to wait for the timing line. Then it'll show us if he's changed tyre. He has. It is the medium tyre.
Oh, wow. So definitely a two-stop strategy for Nick Pfaff here. So that's a really different strategy that he's going to be on. I think it's the right move, because if we saw with the fast lap times on the racing hard, so 1 minute 41 is what we saw from Campbell Knowles and Troy Britnell. That's not really fast pace that you want to be setting compared to his fastest lap, a 38.9. So it's going to be very interesting. Nick Pfaff really has to get the hammer down. He needs to catch back up as quickly as he can and not lose time to Ando Scott and Luke Stone with the overcut as a potential. Luke Stone is now coming to the pit lane, and the Meat Cougar boys are going for yet another lap. But the main thing here is, George, they have saved so much fuel Luke Stone is at 6%, and if we look at what Ando and Spanier got, they're looking around about that, I would say around about that 13, 14 litre mark. So they could potentially be going for another couple laps and reaching that half race point.
Yeah, and that's going to be absolutely key for them. I mean, they might be going for a two-stop as well and just a really short stint on the hard tires. But then again, you know, as long as their fuel can last, and you alluded to this earlier on, as long as they can get the fuel to that half race distance, it's a one-stop. Right now, if we're going for a two-stop for Luke Stone and Nick Pfaff, they're going to have to be doing qualifying laps at the end of the race. They've got to start really pushing on these racing medium tires, and they've got to be doing laps that are very, very close to what the racing softs have been capable of. Out of the pits comes a hard-tired Luke Stone with 35 litres on board. This is a short stint. He's going to be going for a splash and dash.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he knows that if he can just jump on these hard tires for maybe another 2, 3, 4 laps, depending on how many 36 takes, I'm pretty sure it's going to take him about 4 laps to complete. Get the tires heated up, get some cycle in. Ooh, that's a bit of an awkward moment there for Skippy there. Just the car veering right instead of keeping it in a straight line. That's a bit of a lapse of concentration there. Very unlike the Hassel 1 Motorsport driver Cooke down in position 8 in car 15, the Hassel 1 Motorsport. A very familiar name and a very distinct livery, very reminiscent of the Dick Johnson ATC TCC Championship Ford Sierra. So really paying homage to the Dick Johnson racing team back in the day. But running down in PA, he's actually missing the team boss. I believe that is one of the main drivers we are missing here tonight in Mark Hasseltine, the 16 driver. So hopefully he's all good and we might be able to see him next time out.
Hopefully indeed, and yeah, it is always good from a commentator's point of view. If you've got a very standout livery, we'll see it from a mile away, and we'll know exactly where you are on track without any guesswork, which is what we like. Troy Britnell now locked in a battle with Spark from Rusty Nuts Racing. He's got very little fuel on board, and that's going to be an easy overtake down the inside line for the Rusty Nuts Racing driver. Can he get it slowed down, though? He's going to take a very wide line into turn 1, be very compromised through turn 2. So it's a potential fight back here from Troy Britnell, but looks like the grip level very, very different. And actually, it is Spark. He's the one who's on very low fuel. They're both on low fuel, as I understand it. So they will be both coming into their pit stops in relatively short order. Campbell Knowles finds himself provisionally up into 3rd position on the racing hard tires, which is where he started, and that fuel has been saved very, very well. In fact, I'd probably argue he has done the most fuel saving out of anyone on track so far.
Absolutely. Besides the Cooke drivers, it's definitely Campbell Knowles in P3, but you can see the gap, what the difference is. Ando, Scott, Ryan Span, P1 and P2, and then Campbell Knowles is literally coming up to turn 9 to turn 10. So they is such a fair way distance, but into the pit lane do come the Cooke driver development teams. Not going to be double stacking here. There's no such thing in a GT7, so they get their own pit boom, and they'll be able to service their cars both on 1% of fuel. But Campbell Knowles here, he's got fuel, he's not in the red, so I wonder if he's going to go for one more lap here, George. And you know what, he is ahead of both Luke Stone and Nick Pfaff, with 2 drivers that are yet to make a pit stop. If Campbell Knowles gets this right, he's on for the one-stop strategy, as we see Luke Stone really put a wheel down wide at turn 13 at Junção. He's really pushing that car. He really wants to get that car up towards the front as quickly as he can. But, you know, I was about to say, I want to give my full credit to Campbell Knowles here. He gets this right. There's a potential podium for the Team 55 driver.
Exactly right, but he needs to be careful of extending this too long, saving too much fuel. You're already past half race distance now, and he probably should have come in on this previous lap. I mean, the tyres, no issue there on the racing hards. So we're assuming at this point he'll jump onto a medium and try and make it for that one stop and make it round to lap 26. And he's obviously done enough in terms of the fuel saving. Might well be using a fuel map to do so. He's definitely the one who saved most of the fuel out there. Out come Ando and Span. And now we see how the order turns out. And it is, of course, Ando and Span behind both Luke Stone and Nick Pfaff. Luke Stone is actually ahead of Nick Pfaff as well for some obvious fairly obvious reasons. But here we go. Cooke now executing what we believe is a one-stop strategy. They need to focus on that fuel saving, on resources like their tires. If they can make it round the next 13 laps, and there's a two-stop going on from Luke Stone and Nick Pfaff, we're going to see an epic battle at the end of this race with slow-moving, fuel-saving cars versus flying, hot-lapping cars on the softer compounded tires. This is going to get really exciting here at Interlagos in the last few laps.
Yeah, and I also want to keep an eye on the driver in P4, Skippy. Don't count him out just yet. I believe he's short field as well. Yeah, so you can see that he's short field just like Luke Stone, so he's out of the equation. I thought he would have been one of the dark horses as we see Ryan Spann really take onto the grass, drifting a front-wheel drive car. That is very unheard of, ladies and gentlemen. Just drifting around through turn 10. A really nice car control there from the championship leader. As we can see there on the car, you can see the different color numbers there on the side windscreen there. The 119 sporting the orange look that obviously states that he's the championship leader, whilst everyone else has got the yellow numbers. The 787, the 53 in Luke Stone, the reigning champion number one, the big bold number one on the side of the car, as well on the mirrors. As well in position 2, and then the 15 of Skippy in third position. But Campbell Knowles is now in the pit lane, and I wondered now, he's on lap 15 and 26, 12 laps of fuel needs to go on the car. I think he needs to put the car to a full tank of fuel. But here's the question, George, soft or medium tires?
Like, for all we know, he could be jumping out there on another set of hard tires at this point. You know, whatever it is, it's clearly going to be a one-stop strategy for him. He wouldn't have been fuel saving and going so slow in this race if that was not the plan, but he's actually only put 89 litres on. He's going for the soft tires. So throw all the prophecies out of the window. Campbell Knowles is reading and divining the strategy in a different way. We did not expect him to be on the soft tires, and I suspect this will he'll try and be doing essentially some sort of splash and dash at the end of this race. I'm sure he's not going to be thinking of doing 11 laps on the softs, but we did see it possible. We saw Luke Stone do that. We saw Nick Pfaff do it, and this could be a rapid charge back for the field for Campbell Knowles. But give it 5 laps, he'll be running at medium pace. Give it another 5 laps, he'll be running at hard pace on those wearing soft tires. This is a risky strategy from Campbell Knowles. It might pay out, but we'll have to keep an eye on that one. Right now, he's back to where he was originally in the field, behind a number of cars in an 8th place.
Yeah, now so you can see now Luke Stone has come into the pit lane, 3% fuel down from lead, surrendering the lead. That's going to go to Nick Pfaff in position 2, who will now inherit position 1. But Airburn doing a really good job running on the soft tyres. As we saw with Luke Stone, it is possible. The tyres weren't really wearing out too much, but we have to think as well, George, it's a little bit less fuel in the car. The driver seems to be very confident. He's now going to find that extra grip that he's going to have on both the front compound, on the front set of tyres that he's got, the fresh spanking boots of racing softs. He's not going to really catch anyone ahead. He's only got Hogues right ahead of him up in P7. Luke Stone is in the pit lane. He's going to jump Luke Stone, but by how much will be the question that he can get over his competitor in the team capital entry. As he starts putting up the fuel there, he's just about to hit 70% leaders now. They're coming across the start finish line. Airburn has taken that position away from Luke Stone. The 53 still sitting in the pit lane, and he's putting a lot more fuel in, George. This is a full tank of fuel. We saw Airburn put only 90 litres in the car, set of soft tyres. I wonder if he's overfueled here.
We'll see. I mean, at this point, at least he can rev the car out. He can go absolutely full flat with map 1. So no fuel saving at all, no lifting and coasting for him throughout the remainder of this race. He has discarded that mandatory hard tyre now. So he's in a situation where he doesn't have to restrict himself. But, as we alluded to before, this has got to be flat out qualifying pace laps, hoping to not run into too much traffic. The problem is, with the timing of that second pit stop, had he been out there in stint 2 doing the second soft stint and doing the hard stint right at the end, wouldn't have to worry so much about the traffic. Now he's got to make his way back through the field on this soft tyre, potentially limiting its full usage.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also have to keep in mind Nick Pfaff is one of the drivers that are yet to use the hard tyres. So I wonder if what Nick Pfaff's strategy might be doing, maybe he might be trying to get to lap 22, potentially lap 23, and then run a short stint, a splash of fuel, and a short stint on the hard tyres. So these medium tyres really needs to be some fast-paced medium consistency, but he's actually doing that very well there. The last lap was a 39.24, only 3/10 slower than his fastest lap on a soft tyre here, George. So that is actually some really strong pace from the Asta Racing. So a bit of R&D development for the team in Asta Racing has actually got those cars back up to pace. And with a short stint on the hard tyres, it could work in Nick Pfaff's favour to potentially jump Luke Stone.
You know, we saw him do this at Bathurst, where he seems to have the pace of the of a different compound, a faster compound of tire versus what he's actually on. I mean, his pace on the racing hards was absolutely impeccable. He was going as fast as the medium and soft runners ahead of him, and then of course we saw him sort of slow down on the faster tire, which was very, very odd. So he seems to do very well on the slower compound of tire. P1 Skippy, 93 litres of fuel and soft tyres, but he seems to be a little bit stuck in the pit lane. There he goes. He's now out in 8th place ahead of Luke Stone critically, with Luke Stone ahead of him, I should say, critically for Luke Stone. But Luke Stone also in a similar position and having to make his way back through the field. So here we go. He's got to do some serious overtaking now. Got Troy Britnell, first person he's got to make an overtake on. It's going to be a little bit close as they head through turn 9. Turn 10, I should say. Sorry, turn 9, I should say. I have to correct myself twice on that one, ironically. Now into turn 10, of course, and there's still no opportunity there for Troy Britnell. Might have to be ascend at turn 12 or into turn 1 after that long straight. Grab the slipstream, get a bit of a whiff of it, and then send it down the inside if it's open.
You know what I love here, George? I love the team game. Him, Troy Britnell, down in P6, and his teammate who doesn't need to do any more stops in P4. So I think what he's doing is he's holding up the team capital driver. I want they're on the headset to each other, and they're saying, I've got Luke Stone right behind me, and Cameron also saying, please block him like crazy. I want to at least get another couple of laps of clear air before I start seeing that fast team capital driver coming to my rear bumper. But is he going to go down the inside of turn 1? No, he doesn't. So Troy Britnell still holding on very nicely in P6, and I love this racing, this kind of aggressive racing from Luke Stone. But unfortunately, if he starts doing too much of this, his tyres are going to go, and by the time he gets to airburn, it's going to be too late.
Exactly right. This is a key moment here. We're barreling down towards turn 4. Onboard shots from Luke Stone's car. And no opportunity there this time. He obviously has to be a little bit careful on these racing softs. Doesn't want to burn them out at all. Is it going to be maybe a send that we saw before in turn 6? Oh, he wants that inside line. He's not really side by side. Little bit of space given there by Troy Britnell, who didn't want to give him that position, but was forced to at the end of the day. And Luke Stone does finally make his way through, but that's about a lap too late for Luke Stone's execution of this strategy. Now these laps have got to be absolutely clean and super fast. The problem is, look, there's another car right ahead of him. It's Rusty Nuts Racing going very wide into turn 10. We go on board yet again, get a nice bonnet cam view, which we absolutely love to see. Luke Stone has got another overtake to make. He's back in that dirty air. It's not going his way.
Not at the moment there. Scott Roberts ahead of him, very wide for the Rusty Nuts Racing entry. He's really a stiff car from what I can see there. We actually saw this in round 1, George. I think you alluded, or you or Ando Scott, our co-commentator, who'll be bringing Lobby 2 straight after this race, that the Rusty Nuts racing cars, they seem to be setting up their cars a little bit more stiff. So they're setting up their cars for that qualifying and for straight line speed, not so much with the corners, that when it comes to the race, that it really, what can we say? It really just doesn't have that roll through the corners, through the fast to medium speed corners. That it is very stiff. They're getting a lot of understeer, that when they even get to the slow 90-degree corners, the car is drifting wide off the apex. So the car doesn't really look to be hooked with the Rusty Nuts Racing entries, the Honda Civic entries. So it's about just trying to find that balance that these guys can unlock, because if they can unlock that pace that they had at Autopolis in the qualifying, they can try to see if they can comprehend that in the race in the second half of the season.
Oh, that's turn 6 again, looking like the place to overtake for P6, lucky 6. Those of you who know the old Super GT P6 meme, well, it's happening right here, right again. P5 now for Luke Stone. Does manage to make the move. Great work by him. Gets the other driver out of shape through 6 and 7. Sends it up the inside into 8, and the overtake is all but done at that point. He is driving quick. Sector 1 purple for that man right here. Won't be a Sector 2 purple most likely. And he's got Sector 3 to go, which is just the final corner essentially, and that final straight. It is, in fact, sector 2 purple. So Luke Stone is on a charge. He's a man with a mission right now, needs to find that pace that he's lost by overtaking those couple of cars, though he was able to dispatch Spark much quicker than he was able to dispatch Troy Britnell. So realizes that his time is running out in this race. We're about to tick over for the 19th lap onto the 20th lap of this race. The order is like this right now. Nick Pfaff still in the lead, then it's followed by Andrew Scott and Ryan Spann, followed by Campbell Knowles in P4, still doing a fantastic bit of work, half a tank of fuel. Racing Softs not looking too bad considering how old they are. 5 laps through, decent amount of wear on them, but not too much, all things considered. 6 more laps to go, and this could be a one-stop of genius proportions here. And we shall see if he's able to keep up and maintain this pace. Personal best, couple of laps ago on lap 18. It's a 1:40.180 for this man right here, and he is on a charge. This is looking really good for Campbell Knowles, but again, as Nick alluded to beforehand, mate, I don't know. This is going to be tricky. I don't think I really want to be on the racing softs towards the end of this race.
They'll be very close, and we have to remember that Luke Stone was P3 in qualifying, setting some really fast laps there, and in the first stint on his soft tyres, he was setting some really handy lap times on those softs. So he set a 1:39 flat, where Campbell Knowles set himself a 1:40.3 on that previous lap. So he's 1.3 seconds faster than the man ahead of him, the Team 55. That is all because of the fresher, you would say, fresher compound of soft tyres that he's got, and the pace difference. And he's still going purple here, George. So he's on the charge. He wants to get that P3 back, that potential P3 back, because he knows Nick Pfaff has to do another pit stop. The team is going to let him know that it's going to be the hard tyres for Nick Pfaff. And Luke Stone is just trying to close this gap between himself and Nick Pfaff. It's just closing every single lap. The slower that Nick Pfaff goes on his lap times is the faster that Luke Stone goes. And another fastest lap here, 2/10 fastest compared to Nick Pfaff's previous best in the fastest laps. That 53 is flying here, George.
Oh yeah, he is moving at some pace. Very good to see. So Luke Stone well in the realm of battling for a podium position today, as we have now essentially 5 laps remaining in this race. We're on the 21st lap of the race, 26 laps total, of course, at round 4, and he's gone purple again by 0.2 of a second. He is driving the wheels off this car, using every single little bit of grip. That is looking like a fierce drive for Luke Stone right now. Let's take a little look at where Cooke have ended up with in 2nd and 3rd place. What's the distance between Nick Pfaff and Ando right now? Because this is going to tell the tale, as Pfaff has just come into the pits on the medium tyre, 4 litres of fuel. And look, the Cooke cars are going to go around the pit lane entrance, and they are going to have a significant lead doing this really difficult one-stop strategy. A lot of guys out there today have been executing that a two-stop strategy. Slightly easier to figure it out. You get to run on the soft tires, run a bit faster, but you've got to be running quick all the way through. For most people at Interlagos, that's doable, but the supercomputers for Cooke have obviously told them today it is a one-stop race that they want to be executing, and they have saved that fuel very nicely. 4 laps to go now for Ando and Ryan, as we still see Nick Pfaff is still in the pit lane, getting that fuel in the car, 3 litres a second. How much does he need for 4 laps? Half a tank of fuel, so he's going to be going quick. I'm sure it's going to be on to, let's see, the hard tyre, because it's mandatory and he hasn't done it yet. I don't think this is working out well for Nick Pfaff. Airborne is now coming through the the first couple of corners in the lap, and he's going to be putting a bit of pressure on Nick Pfaff unless he can get those hard tyres up to scratch and up to temperature in a very short amount of time. This is well and truly the standard divergence of strategy for it to come stitching its way all the way back together at the end of this race, and at this point I'd say it's too hard to call who's going to be winning.
It is very hard to call here, because we saw the Christmas tree of tyre compounds for Nick Pfaff, the racing soft, racing mediums, and now racing hards. Airburn, the one-stop hard to soft tyres. Luke Stone, a double soft and a hard middle stint here. So it's going to be some different strategies here amongst these 3 drivers, from Astor Racing, the reigning defending champion, and Nick Pfaff. Campbell Knowles, the 38 of the Team 55. entry, and Luke Stone, the 53 team capital. So it's going to be very, very nice finish here to finish off round 4 in Lobby 1 for the Mercury Walch TCR Cup for Season 4. I hope you guys are enjoying this stream here. Lobby 1 is delivering the goods. Ando Scott, Ryan Spann, 1 and 2s. Me Cooke, 1 2 is very familiar up front, but the battle for P3 rages on here, and we've only got 3.5 laps to go till the end of this race.
Here we go. Let's stay on board for a lap with Luke Stone. He's the fastest man out on track at the moment and in the overall race. Set the fastest lap of a 1:38.727 on lap 20. So here we go, barreling down the main straight, and we'll be across the line in a few seconds' time. Pit lane entry, of course, off to your left. Braking zone into turn 1, so critical, but the track falls away from you, gives you the chance to really get the car slowed down, so you want to brake as late as possible. Get off the brake again. You don't want to be trail braking too much into that corner. Get it turned in for 1. Get it turned to the right for turn 2. Use the curbs and then swing it round at full throttle into turn 3, Curva de Sol. Now you're on Reta Aposta. This is right down into turn 4. Fantastic part of the circuit. Great for some overtakes, as we all know. Hit the brakes, and it's another fastest sector for Luke Stone. So he is showing us what a qualifying lap looks like. Get it turned in, miss that little bit of the apex at turn 2 if you want to, doesn't have to hit it, but you need to be full throttle as you barrel now towards turn 6. We saw an unbelievable overtake at this area of about 10 or so laps ago. No overtake at this point, but you can see how much quicker he is into turn 7 and 8. Into A we go, you've got to get it slowed down, use the curbs. This is why it makes this track so difficult in wet conditions, because you need to use the curbs for the maximization of speed. Now to turn 10, and he's going to send it down the inside. He does not want to wait. Campbell Knowles has to get out of that, and that is on through now to turn 11, and an overtake as well. Huge send. We reeled back here in the commentary box as we were on board for that. Gave us all a bit of a heart palpitation. Get it turned in. Turn 12, so difficult to get right. Need to be rolling off that brake really, really nicely through the apex so you can get back on the power as soon as possible and onto the longest straight. Back to be barrel now towards the final part of the race and this main part of the circuit. It's an incredible lap. Luke Stone is flying.
You know what this reminds me of, George? I believe it was last season in the TCR Cup where you were faxing and sending a lot of emails to a lot of teams about medical heart bills.
Yes.
Just getting their invoices and paying for your medical invoices, because the amount of overtakes we saw in season 3 was incredible, sending heart attack moments here in the commentary booth, and that was an absolute send down into turn 10. The full confidence that Luke Stone has got in that car, that team capital car, the 53, is a rocket here, and said with the fastest lap there, it might not be a rocket being up in P1 and P2, the two-stop really playing a huge difference in this race, lap 24 of 26, but the battle for P3, he's very close here, George, and a hard tyre compared to a soft tyre, it's got to be close. A fresher hard tyre, but the softs are wearing pretty fast here, but he's got pace, and Nick Pfaff is really struggling to get those temperatures up.
Yeah, I mean, I said it literally a lap and a half ago. I wouldn't want to be on the softs at the end of this race. Well, now I think I need to eat my words and probably eat a hat as well. Racing hard tyres. I don't think I would want to be on the racing hard tyres at the end of this race, because Nick Pfaff is in all sorts of trouble with a couple of laps now to go. The distance between P1, 2, and 3 is quite substantial, as we can see. Ryan Spann miles up the road in comparison to these guys. They're actually coming through turn 3 right now as the others just enter that first part of the lap. So at the moment, it looks like the one stop is going to be the optimal strategy today, and me Cougar have yet again divined it. They've read their crystal ball, listened to the supercomputer AI that they have back at headquarters, and it has produced yet again the optimal strategy, and they've executed it well. That's the important thing. They've really executed on that strategy perfectly. Nick Pfaff, he's in trouble. Real trouble now, and that podium spot is slowly but surely falling out of his grips. I think Luke Stone was the one to qualify in P3, so technically speaking, this is Luke Stone just returning to that third position. And yet again, another purple sector. He's all purple. He's as purple as the purple on the Me Cougar driver development cars at the moment. Luke Stone all over the back of Nick Pfaff. We're on the penultimate lap of this race, lap 25, and this is going to be it for Luke Stone. He needs to make an overtake, and it needs to happen right now.
Oh, you can see Nick Pfaff is holding the inside line as he goes through Ferradura turn 7 and up to turn 8, holds the inside line. Luke Stone trying to get it around the outside, and there's just all this infill section. It's all single file here, but Luke Stone needs to set it up on the exit of 9 to get up into turn 10. Can he send it down the inside that he did Campbell Knowles a couple of laps ago? He's thinking about it, but Nick Pfaff holds that defensive line. Great racing from the Astor boy in Fast 747. Nick Pfaff, the reigning champion, and Luke Stone, a hot contender in this championship here for season 4. Round towards the final corner at Juncal to turns 13 and 14 as they're about to start their final lap. Nick Pfaff still holds on to P3, but Luke Stone in P4. This is going to get really spicy finish here. There, get your popcorns out, get your festives going, because it is going to be one more lap here. The battle for P3 is on.
Certainly is. I've been eating my popcorn all the way through this race. It's been absolutely fantastic. I'll have to get another one, get some order for large or extra large popcorn down for the last lap of this race, which we are on now. Luke Stone's tyres getting into a position where they are going to become rather slow. So, like I said before, he needs to make this overtake. He needs to make it happen soon. Line it up in turn 4, get a good run out of there, and then maybe send it into turn 6 or 7 or 8. This is going to be key for him. Ando and Ryan are going to be coming round the last few corners shortly. They're at turn 10 at the moment, so only 3 corners to go, and it looks like Andrew and Ryan for Me Cougar are going to be on top again and bagging the extra points for the team's championship, with 2 drivers finishing in the top 3. Defensive line for Nick Pfaff as well, as we head now through into turn 7, now to the braking zone of 8, and it's a wide line for Luke Stone. I don't think he wants to take any risks at this point, doesn't want to upset what is a good friend and a good competitor on track. And Nick Pfaff has raced a very honourable race today in the Racing Hard tyres. We refocus now on P1 and P2. Going to be a flash of the lights and across the line. They're going to look for that photo finish yet again. Marketing opportunity here. And it looks like they're going to maybe give a position away. Yeah, it's Ryan Spann. He's taken it. That to me looks like team orders. They got away with it at Tokyo Expressway, where they sort of faked it and said, you know, it was a little bit of a mistake. Oh dear, oh dear. This time, pretty clear what's happened there, and Ando has backed down and said, Ryan, you're going to take the points here. You're ahead in the championship. I want you to win it. Go and take that victory, and he's backed off at the end. It looks like Pfaff has held on beautifully at the end of this race, executed his strategy very well, and did well in the defensive there. Luke Stone's tyres couldn't make it to the end. 4th place for him, and then take a bow, Campbell Knowles in 5th place. Let's go back and check out the results for this race. We'll check out the results in a few seconds' time as they do get compiled. And let's have a little look at what the remainder of the results, in fact, are today. Well, obviously, Ryan Spann, a little bit of surprise there yet again. The Me Cougar chaps just focusing on making sure that at least one of them can get elevated all the way to the top of that Drivers' Championship. 50 points for Ryan Spann today. Andrew Scott, of course, in 2nd place, takes a couple of extra points for being on pole position. So not a massive points deficit by handing over the win to Ryan Spann. Clever thinking by this team, who are 3-time TCR champions, looking for a 4th this season. Nick Pfaff in 3rd place, held on beautifully against Luke Stone. Then it's Campbell Knowles, who had overall, I think, a really good race, followed by Nick Roberts for Rusty Nuts Racing. That is the best result they've had all season long. So great stuff there. Nick, we've got to talk about driver of the day. Give us a summary. Give us your driver of the day. That was an exciting race, and interesting how the strategies came back together.
Really interesting, this race here. That one stop from the Me Cougar boys, that absolutely textbook masterclass there from these guys. That's why these guys are 3-time champions here at MotorMotion E-Series in the TCR Cup. TCR Cup is where they call home at Me Cougar Driver Development. A lot of team trophies, a lot of driver trophies in that camp. But I'm very impressed of how well that amazing battle was for P3. Nick Pfaff on those hard tyres defending from Luke Stone. That was absolutely incredible performance there from Nick Pfaff down in P3 to hold on to P3 and take that podium away from Luke Stone. But I feel for the driver of the day here, George, I'm still going to go for it. Even though he didn't get onto the podium, I think he deserves an honourable reward here for driver of the day. It's going to go to Luke Stone. A great performance there by the man, setting purple laps after purple laps. sectors are going purple, his cheeks are going purple, his whole body's going purple because that was full of excitement here. Luke Stone is my driver of the day. What a performance there from Team Capital. A shame and unlucky for him to not get onto that podium, but it is a top performance there from the Team Capital driver.
I'll tell you what, he was making us go purple because there was so much action out on track as a result of how quick he was going. We were rather out of breath and starting to suffocate ever so slightly. I think Camel Knowles for me, driver of the day for my side of things. I think the strategy was executed well, and he needed to keep a level head, which I think he did very, very well. Let us know in chat who your driver of the day is for Lobby 1. Of course, we'll be back with Lobby 2 coverage in a few moments' time. But before then, of course, make sure you go and check out www.motormotioneseries.wordpress.com. Get yourself signed up. Get involved in this awesome GT7 league. They do such great work. A massive thanks, of course, to them. We have a broadcasting partnership here at TrackSpot TV with MotorMotion E-Series, bringing you today's coverage. It's been myself, George Cooke, and Nick Pautasso. Nick, some final words, a little summary. Tell us what you thought. I mean, shame you're not going to be here for Lobby 2. But at the end of the day, it's been a great race in Lobby 1.
Was a great. If this is the standard that we're going to be seeing here for the rest of round 4, I'm very excited to see what happens in Lobby 2 when we see the drivers of Gridline Racing trying to match and see what they can do to be able to hold up their end of the bar in this team's championship battle between them and me, Cooke Driver Development. We've also got a few other contenders in that lobby as well, so don't go anywhere. That is going to be tight racing and close racing with the strategies as well. But Lobby 1, what a fantastic result. What a fantastic race. All up the grid from first place down to 10th. Everyone was super clean. No really strong moves there. No unquestionable moves there. Everything was super clean by our drivers here. And Interlagos is a kind of track where it kind of invites you to go a little bit aggressive, and we did see a couple of aggressive moves, but they were bold and strategic moves there. So well done to our drivers here in Lobby 1, and Lobby 2 I'm sure is going to be an absolute banger as well. Shame to not be a part of it, but enjoy the call, George, and we'll get to see you on the other end after the broadcast.
You will indeed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in a few moments' time. Grab yourself a drink, get ready, because Lobby 2 coverage coming up in a few minutes' time. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to MotorMotion E-Series. After our 5-minute break, we return to round 4 in Season 4 of the Mercury Walch TCR Cup. And it is time for Lobby 2 coverage. And in the commentary box for Lobby 2, it'll be myself again, the lead commentator, George Cooke, and my co-commentator. He is a man who knows strategy in and out. He is the tyre whisperer. He's a man who also flies at 28,000 feet on occasion. It's Andrew Scott. Andrew, welcome back into the commentary box. We know that Cooke's done quite well, but you're not in Lobby 2. We're interested to see how this is going to go, but I'm hoping you're excited for a great race.
Yeah, g'day, George. G'day, viewers. Yes, I am. It was intriguing to see those strategies play out. I'm very glad that our team came out on top in race 1, but who knows what's going to happen in Lobby 2. As we know, we've now got 2 distinct strategies at play here. We've got the 2-stop strategy because of the long pit stop, because of the large tyre delta and mandatories being hards being mandatory. You know, it's going to lead teams towards that 2-stop strategy. But then you've got the 1-stop strategy because you can't quite get 13 laps out of a tank, and because you've got that tyre drop off with the soft tyres, and then you throw the mediums into the mix as an option as well. That 1-stop definitely, as we saw, comes into play also. So can I just say, George, also, what a hot lap that was for you to jump on board with Luke Stone there. That was amazing, setting purple sectors and doing that beautiful clean lunge into turn 10, I think it was, on airborne. And we were on board for him at the time. That was a masterful piece of broadcasting right there.
I'll tell you what, it was great on this side of the aisle. We've actually got a new broadcaster in the box at the moment, so shout out to Matthew Smith, also known as Monkey Matt. He's a TrackSpot TV broadcaster and commentator, and he's on the tools for the first time tonight and doing a very, very good job. And I'll tell you what, we were both leaning in towards the screen on that lap. Every corner was getting more exciting and more interesting. We were getting closer and closer, and then he launched it, and both of us reeled back in our chairs. It was a fantastic, absolutely fantastic lap, so great job by our broadcaster, Matt Smith, tonight. Let's take a look at our qualifying results for Lobby 2, and here's where things line up. We've got, of course, Scott Taylor on pole position. I say, of course, because he's becoming a bit of a staple when he ends up in an outside lobby, in this case, Lobby 2. We've got Black Rose Racing, CP Motorsports, Gridline Racing, Lightning Motorsport, Mad Turtle Racing, and Yugen Global. Yugen not showing up on the screens today in the top 4, though. Very, very interesting. So it is Scott Taylor on pole position for Gridline Racing, and right next to him, Mark Pacheco, separated by a similar gap that the Cooke drivers were, about 0.4 of a second between them. A 38.268 is the top time by Scott Taylor, so he is a man on a mission today. He's also second in the drivers' standings for the overall championship. Marcel Albertin for Black Rose Racing, a good qualifying in 3rd position. Alongside him is Lyle Rensburg for Mad Turtle Racing. So this is going to be an interesting lobby too. Black Rose Racing, incredibly, they have actually jumped right up the standings. Albertin has put in a fantastic qualifying lap, Ando.
Yeah, very nice to see. But interestingly, George, it is very, very intriguing to see Gridline up there with the 1-2. Because I tell you what, Cooke, who fell behind because of yours truly missing the Bathurst round, we've fallen behind in the team's championship, but we just laid down the trifecta with the 1-2 finish and the pole lap. And I believe we get the little bit of a bonus point there because of the win streak. I think we're coming back at Gridline here. We've made a statement, but Gridline's just come back with their own statement, getting a 1-2 in quali.
That's right. Yeah, no, you've got a real championship battle. In fact, we all do have a real championship battle on hand right now, and it is Gridline Racing in the lead in the team's championship. Their drivers are right there in the drivers' championship, and no wonder we might have seen a little bit of an elevation of Ryan Spann to the victory. Getting those extra couple of points to his name is going to matter massively. But as you said before, Ando, it's all about the strategy today. It's what we saw in Lobby 1. We're excited to see how this is going to go. I think we're ready now to go racing. Let's head to the grid. And here we go. Lights are coming on. It's 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. The delayed start. No false starts on the grid. That's good to see, and away we go. Gridline Racing Scotty off to a good start, good launch off the line. Pacheco right in there. Not going to challenge that inside line at this stage. It's very, very dangerous to do so. We saw the Meat Cougar drivers working together around the outside, though, for Dorgan Mavey, it appears, and the Black Rose Racing chaps already off to a great start. Calculated Risk holds on to his position in P3, followed by the South African driver Jansen for Mad Turtle Racing. His strategy execution in the last race was absolutely on point, and he is going to be trying the hard tire on the initial stint. That's very, very tricky to do as Black Rose Racing exchange a little bit of paint. Luckily, it's both white, and so there won't be any obvious result of that until they bring it back to the pit lane. Decent start, but some battles starting to emerge in this early part of the lap.
Yeah, it looks like a relatively tame getaway there for this lobby compared to the first one. But it looks like there's quite a few runners on hards to start this race. I think the leaders might be on mediums maybe, but yeah, with all the mid-pack runners on what I think looks to be the same tyre, it's much more of a tame start to this race.
Yeah, it looks like they're all just wanting to execute their strategy properly. Racing mediums indeed for Scotty and Mark Pacheco at the beginning of this race, so echoing very much what we've seen with the Meat Cougar team. So executing their own little supercomputer and figuring out what they want to be doing. Question's going to be, will they do this one stint or not? Guessing based on what we're seeing at the moment that they will be trying to execute that same strategy. Hard tyres, as we said, for Jansen. It's a tricky one, really, isn't it? I mean, if you want to use the hard tyres, they're not great to use at the end of the race. They're not great to use at the middle of the race, and they're not really that good to use at the beginning of the race. But at the moment, Jansen holding on and he's defending well. That's going to hold up the people behind him in terms of their strategy execution. As we see a move, a lunge up the inside there, and it is the Yugen Global car of Jointson moving up into P5.
Yeah, nice move there by Matt. He's on the medium by the looks of it, so he's going to have to clear some of these hard runners in order to make his strategy work. But yeah, the medium tyre, it is still possible to do a two-stop on the medium because the soft drops off quite significantly. As we see, one of the Yugen cars, I think it is, running wide. I hope he doesn't get a penalty out of that through turn 4, and he does, unfortunately. So I think he's lost positions and copped the penalty here, which is quite punitive at this track because you have to serve it at the worst possible position, which is halfway up the straight on an uphill section, and it just kills all your momentum, George.
So rough, and even a 0.5 second penalty. Well, you're not just losing 0.5, you're losing all the speed around really what's the only straight essentially and it's not even that straight. It's got a kink in it too, for good measure. We've just seen a number of overtakes go through. Jointson had a go and took over Calculated Risk on the inside, and he's on the hard tyre, but he's absolutely flying right now. So his qualifying place clearly wasn't there during qualifying. Now he's in the race. He's absolutely flying. Jansen was dispatched with relative ease, and guess who's followed them all through? It's Chris Farapapa, and in the pits comes Matthew Jointson. So he had a short stint on the hard tyres. He's going to throw them out, get a little bit of fuel, go back out there. Clearly, two-stop strategy for Jointson today.
Yeah, there you go, George. He's played his hand there. Definitely, it's a two-stop for him, and he'll probably go soft at this stage. And let's see how that pans out for him. But it is, as the Meat Cougar supercomputer churned out for us, a 30-second time loss just to pull into the pits for tyres here. So you're going to have to be setting some blistering laps on those softs if you want to make it work, and you're going to have to manage them in a way that avoids them dropping off in pace significantly.
That's a very hard couple of things to balance out. I mean, you don't generally go fast, especially through the in-lap here, which can be very mechanical grip intensive, very, very hard on the tires. How do you manage that? How do you make it so that you're going lightning fast, but also maintaining the tires? Very difficult to do. Even Luke Stone, he was flying and setting those qualifying laps, but it wasn't enough. And by the time he caught the hard runners, there was no grip left in them.
Yeah, it's all about, I think it's the right front tyre that ends up being the critical one. It's all about babying it, keeping it quiet, not overdriving the car through that middle section of the lap, the infield section of the lap. And, but at the same time, George, fuel comes into it because we mentioned it in Lobby 1's race. fuel is expensive in this series, so you have to also look after your fuel. You have to set up your gear ratios so that you're not revving the car any higher than it has to. You want to keep it in the power band. You want to drive the car smoothly to look after tires. So it's not a simple solution. It's not an easy series. This is not for the arrive and drive type of driver. That's for sure. You have to do your homework.
Homework, absolutely crucial. We saw that 100% at Bathurst. We saw it in round 2, round 1, where you and me were commentating on, and we've seen it today as well. Matthew Joynson out onto the medium tyre. Interesting choice there, but at least he'll have the grip towards the end of that stint. He might decide to go a little bit longer, so more than a 50% stint, depending on how much fuel he can save. So very interesting to see what Matthew Joynson is doing today. He's clearly got pace, and I wonder if he's trying to execute a strategy that'll allow him to use that little look up the inside for Chris Farepapa. And that's not going to be a move into turn 6 this time out, but he has poked that nose in a number of times onto our South African driver in Jansen for Mad Turtle Racing, and he has got a little bit of a bite back from the driver ahead, which is now bringing Tony Griffin, a name that we're all very, very familiar with, certainly here in the commentary box, from a number of leagues. And I'll remind Ando, of course, about the HTCC, which I commentated on oh so long ago, which we all used to race in as well. Nice to see Tony Griffin back on the grid for this race and in a Mad Turtle car and chasing down Chris Farepapa, who's on those racing hard tyres. And this is well and truly a Loctite sandwich right now.
Yeah, oh, the good old days, George. I reminisce every time you mention it, mate. But yeah, what we might be seeing here is a different fuel strategy as well. So although they're on the same tyre, there might be someone right up the rear quarter of another car because they're revving it out more, using more fuel. But we saw Griffo there coming into the pits. Is that who it was? I think it was. We saw someone.
Oh, well,
and
before
we've
we
got
get back
someone
to that,
on the grass. That is calculated risk right there. He has, unfortunately, in some door-to-door combat, put one tyre into the grass, and it's good night, Irene. Around he went. Luckily, stays out of the wall and avoids damage. He actually kept the car going there, George. Didn't lose as much time as he could have, but obviously that's not ideal for his race hopes.
I think we call that braking with style. In this case, he half drifted it through the exit runoff of turn 1. And actually, as you said, I mean, he regathered the car beautifully there. But yeah, when you misjudge that braking zone into turn 1, you're being forced out wide. That little strip of grass, it's very small before you get back onto the green sort of semi-tarmac area. It's very unlucky for him, as we see now Chris Farepapa. So Chris Farepapa was the one who came into the pits out of those 3. So it was the Loctite car for Lightning Motorsport. It wasn't the Mad Turtle cars. And he's come back out now on racing soft tyres. The question is, how is he going to manage the fuel through the stint? Is it going to be completely flat out? Or is he going to be a little bit more conservative with it?
Well, yeah, he's filled up, and I'd say he's going to do another stop. So I'm sure he's going to do another stop. So he'll probably do, what is that, 2 12-lap stints. So he won't be as heavily fuel saving as the one-stoppers, if there is any in this race. But he still will have to look after his fuel a little bit, and of course his soft tyres, because 12 laps on softs is not it's not a given, George.
No. In fact, we've seen it sort of work the opposite direction. I mean, once you get through to lap 6, 7 or thereabouts, you're really running at medium pace, but with a car's rear end that does not want to grip the road.
Yeah, I think, and I think my maths was just wrong a little bit there. He's going to do 2 11-lap stints now on softs. So he's aware of that. He's aware of the fact that 12 laps on softs and 12 laps out of a tank is not ideal. So I think this guy's going to be going hammer and tong now till the end of the race.
Well, I think that would be Chris Farepapa's preference and his style. We certainly saw that when he was racing at Bathurst, and we saw that at Tokyo Expressway, in fact, and he was lightning quick. Does take quite a chunk out of that apex, I have to admit. Luckily for him, that doesn't look like it's been a penalty at all. And Matthew Joynson now making his way back through the field in 9th place on the racing medium tyre. Already down 25 litres of fuel, though, setting personal best in Sector 1 by a fair margin, so able to use a little bit more of the car's fuel at this stage. I don't know if he's being that conservative right now. But yeah, as we said before, Chris Papa currently in 11th, got to make his way through Aussie Heat and Jointson and Calculated Risk, who have all been the early pit stoppers in this race. He's going to have lightning quick pace today. Fastest lap currently with GLR Scotty, a 139.7, and bear in mind, he's on the medium tyre.
Yeah, and he's fuel saving too, I suspect. So those leaders there, they're not stupid. They're going to go for that optimal one-stop strategy, I think, today. So they're out there uh, shifting short, looking after their mediums. They're going to have to finish the race on the slower tyre. So they're going to have to build up definitely build up a good lead here in this first stint. But then you've got the two stoppers behind them that are going to be coming at them hard, and they're going to be doing a couple of different variants of the two-stop, but the upshot of it is their lap times are going to be virtually 2 seconds a lap quicker than the gridline boys at the end of this race.
Oh, it's going to be fun. So once again, we see the strategies diverge early on in this race. It's like a little mini endurance race where no one really has a good strategy. You're just hoping that you don't crash in the longer format of the series. And then right towards the last few minutes of the race, you see all these strategies come back together as their race times start to average out. And we find out, of course, who is the one on top. Same thing is going to happen here in, if I do math correctly, about 19 laps time. We're 11 minutes in so far. Lobby 2 coverage looking like it's going to be just as exciting as what we saw in Lobby 1. And, of course, moment here, a little bit of housekeeping. If you're watching in on the MotorMotion E-Series YouTube or the TrackSpot TV YouTube, go and check out TrackSpot TV on https://trackspot.tv. Go and check out MotorMotion E-Series at www.motormotioneseries.wordpress.com. Get yourself signed up, get yourself involved in the Facebook, the Discord. These guys put on amazing series all year round. And of course, a massive thanks to Mercury Walch, our sponsor for the TCR Cup Season 4. For all your digital printing, label printing needs, go and check them out, www.mercurywalch.com.au. We're on board now with Tony Griffin, and I think absolutely appropriate. Ando, give us a lap, give us your insights. What does it take to do a lap at a circuit like this?
Yeah, as we dive into turn one and we note the Griffos on the mediums, there could be a bit of a team orders problem here for the Mad Turtle racers, because I think Jansen in front of him is on the hards and he might be executing a one-stop strategy. So his teammate behind him is all over and he gives him the signal to go by. Hopefully he can lift and get out of it a little bit because he's on the inside line and he does so. He breaks early, gets out of it, allows Griffo to then break loose, and Griffo runs wide in turn 4. Unfortunate. I think that's going to be a little bit of a paddling there for the poor fellow. And yes, the commentator's curse strikes again, and Griffo unfortunately copped a 2-second penalty. But that was looking perfect for the team just then. He just got released by his teammate, and he was going to set sail on hopefully a cracking medium lap. But that's all been curtailed, and we'll see if we jump on board with him now for the rest of this lap. We'll see just how much time he loses here, George, as he comes into turn 10. They're nice and tight there. Keep it tight, patient on the throttle. Now it's full beans out of here through into the final corner, and he will dive on the brakes here, maybe jump down into second, short shift into third, get on the gas early and start the run up the hill. But now, just as he gets his momentum going, he's going to get hit in the face with a 2-second penalty. And he just has to virtually come to a crawl there. And yeah, that is gut-wrenching for the Turtle driver.
Absolutely gut-wrenching. And we did the same thing. We both leaned back in as things were getting exciting. And then suddenly the penalty, we all snapped back in our chair and realized what has happened. And he's actually lost a whole bunch of time here. I mean, that 2-second penalty is so painful. It looks fairly innocuous. It looks fairly innocent when you run wide at turn 4, but the game has absolutely no time for that whatsoever. And in fact, will take time away from you to make up for the fact that it has no time. So really unlucky for Griffo. It's kind of thrown a bit of a spanner into the works of the strategy he's trying to execute, and he'll have to make his way back up to Jansen and try and perform a multi-21 yet again. Here's Blue Dog for CP Motorsports running in 6th place at the moment. The Australian driver has been looking better in the last couple of rounds, I have to admit. Bathurst was one to forget for CP Motorsports. They had a shocker, but we look back to Tokyo Expressway and he was doing quite well. Now he's on the hard tyres. He's actually making a bit of progress on Tony Griffin, who really just needs to get his head back in the right space at the moment. I think that would have thrown anyone off, and probably a bit of red mist and a little bit of frustrations being vented to the penalty system that has been good sometimes, marginal at most times, and I think hated at its best. But nonetheless, we have to deal with this system, and a fair penalty at whether you like it or not, 2 seconds is what was applied. So Tony Griffin just needs to get his head back into the zone now.
Yeah, it was unfortunate, but we all know about it. I think all drivers know that turn 4 penalty on the outside is there. And I think it was actually a little bit to do with his teammate. If I was his teammate there, I would have lifted earlier down that straight and made it much more clear with my body language that I was letting him past. Because I think we were both sitting out there thinking, George, is he going to yield or isn't he? Or is he defending the corner? But if he had have got out of it earlier, he would have left it much more clearer for Griffo to then concentrate on turn 4. But anyway, they are the subtleties of team racing and penalties in GT7. We just have to live with them, don't we?
We do indeed, and I completely agree with that, with what you just said there. So it is what it is at the end of the day. Sometimes the Multi-21 is cleaner than it can be with other drivers. We've just seen a driver come in now on the racing hard tyres. That was Dorgan Mavey, who I think is commonly referred to as Morgan Davey, so switching his name around for some reason or another. Racing softs on his tyres now, a full tank of fuel. He'll head out of the pits in P11 and start his charge back after Aussie Heat, the second CP Motorsport driver on the grid today. Let's take a little look at our leaders and run through the grid and see where we're at the moment. It is, of course, Scott Taylor on those medium tyres, still saving really good amounts of fuel. He's still got a quarter of a tank in his car. And then, of course, Mark Pacheco following it up and executing, I believe, a similar strategy. I actually thought he was going to dive into the pits there for a second, but yeah, the strategy identical, bar maybe a little bit more fuel saving for Mark Pacheco. It is now lap 11, so at least a couple more laps, maybe even 3 laps to go for the Gridline Racing drivers. They're executing this strategy almost identically to what we saw Mick Hooger do in Lobby 1.
Yeah, it's pretty simple to work out. If you can make your tank of fuel last 13 laps, and your pace on the hards is respectable, and when I mean respectable, I mean within about 2 seconds per lap of your fastest soft lap, then the one stop definitely is the way to go because of the length of the pit stop here. It's just punishing. It's 30 seconds. It's going to cost you, and in a 45-minute race, you just cannot make that time back up in a 2-stop unless you are completely setting, purple lap after purple lap. So it's definitely the easier way to go. And it looks like Gridline have chosen wisely. They've chosen the same strategy as Mick Hooger. So it's their race to lose at this point.
And this is great because this is just going to do one thing, and that's going to be amp up the championship standings, of which it's very close. I mean, Gridline Racing had both their drivers in the Enduro event and got a great finish up there in the podium for both drivers, so they bagged a lot of points in the team's championship. So right now it's Gridline Racing's to lose, and another good result on the horizon here. If they get a P1, P2, they get the extra couple of points for the team's championship, and they continue to extend the advantage they have over Mick Hooger at the moment. It really may come down to who has the most people at races throughout the season, which will be a very different and new way that we approach the team's championship this year. We'll have Gridline Racing and Mick Hooger back in the same grid for round 5 at the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, which is going to be, of course, next week, coming to you on YouTube once again. Calculated Risk, Dubzita going for it, and Blue Dog on the smell of an oily rag on the hard tyre finally comes into the pits and makes his first pit stop.
Yeah, so he's coming on lap 12 there, is it? Or is it lap 11? But either way, it's not really conducive to a one-stop strategy. So he's going to have to do 2 quick, maybe short stints on softs here, I think, George.
Yeah, zero fuel, lap 12 on the hard tyres. You've kind of ended up in the grey zone in terms of the strategy. You've not gone long enough to make it work, and you've not gone short enough to get rid of the disadvantage of running the hard tyre. So that's not necessarily ideal there for Blue Dog. We'll see what he's able to do. Maybe he needs to think about switching to a two-stop strategy, which would actually at this point be inadvisable. So maybe it's just going to have to be fuel map on, lift and coast all the way as we see calculated risk, calculating the overtake, and he hasn't made it stick just yet. Inside line for Matthew Joynson, I think it is. No, it's Dub Zito, my apologies. Now it's the inside line at Switcheroos. Naturally, as a course of the corners and calculated risk, will take that maneuver right to calculated risk and make it up into P5. It's coming back, and oh, that was very, very close. And we all breathe a sigh of relief as he goes past and secures the position. But he's wide again, and that has not gone particularly well. And by the looks of it, he needs to come to the pits. So he's going to need to let Dubzito go on this one, I think. But he's not.
We've got a case of hard tyres versus, I think the other runner there is on a softer tyre compound. So, those hard tyres are definitely not ideal, George. Even when they're fresh, they're not a great tyre to run on. Now, I hope he makes it round this lap into the pits. I hope he's got enough fuel to complete this 13th lap.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he does. That is a very low fuel amount for one lap, and especially when you're being pushed on by the car behind. He's going to be looking for an overtake at some point. Very easy to over throttle the car for 1 second, and suddenly you'll find yourself with no fuel running uphill up a long straight. And that's going to be inside line defense there for the number 87, calculated risk, and he's going to run a little bit deep. Dubzito goes on through, makes mincemeat of calculated risks and says, hey, look, you can calculate risk. I can calculate corners and overtakes. And he's done that beautifully. I think there is definitely some fuel saving going on, probably for both of them at this stage. Less fuel in the tank, though, for calculated risk. And we had another heart palpitation just as we came up the straight. I thought he was diving back to the left-hand side to jump into the pits, and Dubzito was still there, but he actually calculated it perfectly. So the puns and the metaphors continue to roll off my lips at the moment, but great racing by these two. We'll see which one of them can make it back to the pits first. We have got our leaders now in the pits. It is lap 13, 2 litres of fuel on board for GLR Scotty, but 5 litres of fuel for Mark Pacheco. That's a second and a half extra in that pit stop. Pacheco, he could be pressuring Scotty after this pit stop.
Yeah, that's a good little gain he's made there on fuel, but Scotty definitely did have the pace over him, so I think he's going to maintain the lead here as both the P5 and P6 drivers come in now on lap 13. So there looks to be a lot of one-stop strategies happening here today. They've all thankfully made it to the halfway mark without running out of fuel. But now we'll see the leaders swap onto the slower tyre and the mid-pack swapping onto the faster tyre. So let's see if these P3 and down drivers can make any inroads into the grid line, boys. And I can tell you what, there's a few people back at the Cooke camp hoping that they can do so, because the last thing we want to see from a team's perspective is a trifecta of points from gridline today, because that will basically cancel out the effort that we made in lobby 1, and they'll maintain their 40-odd point lead.
Exactly right. We've got a mixed bag of fans in the chat as well. Everyone's going to be hoping for different outcomes of today's race. Dorgan maybe coming out round, and is probably going to make this overtake happen pretty quickly. He's on the racing soft tyre. He's on this two-stop strategy and has the fastest lap of the race, a 138.460. Scott Taylor, he's not going to want to defend that. He's not going to be able to defend that. Through on goes the high grip soft tyre versus cold hard tyres, and Scott just needs to come and just execute his strategy. They're running to a number. Just like we saw in lobby 1, you need to be not worried about who's overtaking. If you can hold someone up, that's fantastic. That's all cherries on cakes, right? You want to end up with a bunch of cherries on that cake. But I tell you what, you need to be there to eat the cake at the end of the race. So execute the strategy well, and believe me, there will be cake at this checkered flag.
Yeah, just stay out of trouble. He let Morgan Davey through there quite obviously, because he was quite obviously on the faster tyre. And now Scotty's just got to settle in now and hit his numbers. And he is definitely still in the net lead of this race. Morgan Davey definitely will have to stop again. He's been revving the absolute proverbial out of that Civic of his, and he's not going easy on the tyres either. So he's a little bit out of position where we see him now, because he will have to stop again. But I think George Scotty there sitting in the box seat, I think he's in the net lead of the race still. He just needs to bring it home, keeping it clean, keep it out of the walls, look after his fuel and tyres, and it could be a good result here for Gridline on the cards.
Certainly, and obviously one of the standouts in the competition so far, Gridline Racing, Scotty and Mark Pacheco, of course. Scott Taylor is the team owner of Gridline Racing. A huge history here at MotorMotion E-Series for that team. Scott Taylor, of course, one of the admins in the background at MotorMotion E-Series, so knows the format well, knows the structure well, does the work, puts the effort and the time in. You can see it in their livery, you can see it in their race execution, you can see it on some of the graphics you see at the beginning of the screen as well, which is part of what Scott Taylor does for us here at TrackSpot TV on the regular too, and running the TrackSpot TV on the front bumper. I absolutely love to see it. Either way, they are on form at the moment and doing the work, executing the strategy well. We absolutely love to see that. Yes, they're not really any sort of on-track fights at the moment. They're not looking for overtakes. They're not looking to do other stuff. But at the end of the day, we are in a situation where the other drivers are not looking so hot. Point in fact, Chris Farapapa right now needs to make a very important pit stop in this race, throw out those very worn racing soft tires, get at least some fuel in the car, get back out there, and he needs to be flying. We said this at the beginning of the race, Ando, and you talked about it specifically. These are hot laps. These are qualifying laps that you've got to do on a two-stop.
Yeah, hopefully he's run his hard stint and he can jump on softs again now, and he can put in 9 or 10 really, really hot laps and challenge for a podium, if not the win, because it's definitely a hard ask to have to make up that 30 seconds that second stop cost you. But I'll tell you what, George, who I'm interested in at the moment is Jansen. I think he might be sitting there comfortably in a nice strategic spot. He might be the one to watch here for that third podium spot.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, he's under a little bit of pressure from Tony Griffin yet again. Will there be another multi-21? Will it be successful this time? I think more importantly, will Jansen actually get out of the way? He's on the racing mediums. Griffo probably on a soft tire. Let's have a little look. In 5th place. Hard tires, so probably not going to be a multi-21 call at this point, and they'll stay in the order that they are in. And Jansen, looking good. I mean, the medium tire at this point in the race, 10 laps to go. He's going to pull a bit of distance on Tony Griffin as well. Probably not going to be challenging Pacheco or Scotty at this stage, but I'd say he's in the box seat for a P3.
Yeah, it looks like he's executed well because he's got fresh mediums, he's got enough fuel. He's on lap 16, so after this lap, he's got 10 laps to go. I think he's got enough on board. I think he's going to make it. So if he can execute this or if he can keep it clean, I think he's looking good for that last podium spot.
Yeah, this will be another good result for Mad Turtle Racing, who, we haven't often seen up in the top positions for results throughout many of the MotorMotion E-Series events. But here in the TCR Cup, they seem to be coming alive at the moment. Certainly, these Honda Civics are gelling well with their drivers. Jansen, a new addition to the outfit in their MotorMotion E-Series entry. Tony Griffin, of course, a familiar name that we've seen a number of times through the Mad Turtle Racing Team outfit. But Jansen has been proving us wrong in a lot of ways, in a lot of good ways. We'd like to see it. We'd like to see competitors come up and start to execute some really good racing, some really good driving. Jansen certainly has been, and I think he's already got a fan already. Nick Pautasso likes him because he's South African.
Yes, I'm telling you right now, my friend. Yes, he's very, very popular. But he's doing well. He's doing well because he is a new driver to the series, and he's been taken under the wing there by a decent team. I know the team owner there, or one of the co-owners, Mad Mitch there, is very happy to have him on board. And he enjoys practicing with him. And Jansen is, onwards and upwards. He's just improving each race as he gets settled into this league. He looks like a good acquisition. Absolutely right.
Mad Turtle, of course, with one of the most complicated liveries on the grid, as I understand it, well over 100 individual decals to make up the livery that goes in it. And Mitch, spends so much time doing these liveries. It's incredibly impressive. So we do try and give him some screen time, regardless of where his cars are at on track, because it is just so colourful, and we know the effort that's gone into it. I can't design liveries to save my life, so when you see one with this level of skill, you've got to take a moment and just appreciate it. Not the sunniest day here at Interlagos in this afternoon session for Lobby 2, as we see a little bit of a cut of the apex at turn 12. That's going to give Dubzito a little bit of a run. I think Griffo might be in a little bit of trouble, because that number 12 car in P6 currently is on the racing mediums and starting to charge after Tony Griffin, who started on softer tyres, now finds himself stuck on the racing hards as we tick down to under 10 laps to go.
Yeah, and depending on how much fuel he's got left, Griffo might have a tough time defending here because that hard tyre is easily a second lap slower than the mediums, as long as the mediums don't drop off or wear out. But they look pretty good for Dubzito. He looks to have a good amount of fuel, and he's full send at the moment, and he's gaining hand over fist on Griffo here on each corner. So here we go, is a battle for P5 about to unfold.
Very good. Personal best sector 1 by nearly 0.2 of a second for Dubzito. So that's going to be going a substantial amount faster than Tony Griffin's able to do, especially in that sort of high-speed S's at the beginning of the lap. Very tricky to get the hards and get them to turn the car in correctly through that without cutting the corner. You've got to be very careful at this circuit. You see there, very shallow line in, not taking a lot of the outside curve, which is probably not necessarily ideal. But the hard tyres, they're not going to have the extra turn and you need to widen out the corners. So a nice short line entry into the apex is going to help them out and help out Griffo just to stay ahead. So what can he do? Can he hold up the driver in P6? Can he hold up Dubzito for any amount of time? Maybe try and protect his teammate just that little bit. Dorgan Mavey still leading the race at the moment. Sorry, that's Morgan Davey, we believe. I think there's a joke in there somewhere, maybe a little bit of an in-joke or identity protection, which he's not done particularly well, given the characters in his name. Either way, he is currently leading the race on lap 19. We're barreling rapidly towards the end of Lobby 2, which will conclude round 4 of the TCR Cup. And we look forward, of course, to round 5. We're in the American leg of the circuit now. And ahead of us, we have a number of these amazing American races. We've got Atlanta coming up next week, and the week after that, it's back to Trial Mountain. We saw it return to MotorMotion E-Series for the Manufacturer Masters, and I'm so happy that Trial Mountain is back on the calendar for TCR, because it is a brilliant place to go racing. One of my favorite tracks, fictional tracks in Gran Turismo 7.
Yeah, a couple of challenging tracks coming up, actually, for these cars. So the tuners are going to be very busy indeed, working out the optimal setup of these cars. And yeah, they're different in character. The Road Atlanta track, George, is my preference. That's the one I love to race on. But yeah, we're going to have to be good at both. As we see a move now from Dubzito, he's getting a bit impatient. He's shoving his nose in there, and he's made a little bit of a muscly move there on the Mad Turtle driver. Hasn't quite finished it yet, but he's not giving up as they go on into turn 10 there, and he's now made it stick. So on the softer tyre there, he's asserted himself. He got his elbows out, that's for sure, George, and he's made that move stick, and now he should be released on to have a go for a podium spot.
Good, hard racing there. Nothing wrong with that at all, and actually turned into a fantastic overtake. They were side by side through 7, 8, 9, and 10, and then the overtake was solidified through 11. So great work by Dubzito. Now Griffo's going to be under attack by Calculated Risk, who's also on the medium tyre. So really, this is a battle that Griffo's got really no place in. But it's going to be Calculated Risk versus Dubzito in a few moments' time, because around the outside we go, and turn 1 does get it slowed down. Oh, an attempt at the cutback by Griffo results in him going into the rear bumper. No damage on Calculated Risk car, but is there damage on the front bumper? There isn't for Griffo, so he got away with that one only just. We very nearly avoided a sort of Max Verstappen Ocon situation into the Interlagos first S's. Luckily, they got away with it and both survived to continue the race. Calculated Risk now on the same strategy, essentially, as the car ahead, so they will be in a bit of a battle. Here is Dorgan Mavey once again, and he is pitted, and he's on the racing soft tyre, 74 litres of fuel on board for 6 laps. That is a lot of fuel for a very short number of laps, but I guess he'll be revving things out.
Yeah, he does rev the car out anyway, but that's possibly a bit of an overfuel there. But it just goes to show, folks, that is the penalty for making that extra pit stop. So he's gone from the lead back into ninth position. So yeah, obviously might not have had access to the Cooke supercomputers this round, Morgan Davey. And although he's showing some signs of pace at certain times, he has unfortunately not chosen the right setup for the car, the right shift points, the right fuel strategy, or the right tyre strategy, and it's put him way back down there in the second half of the field.
So much work goes into figuring out the strategies, so much thought, so much practice, and it's something that's come up in a number of series, and we've talked about it for years, Ando. You've been a prime example of pushing that information out there. Gotta look at how long these pit stops take. 30 seconds here is absolutely massive. It happens on a very long, very fast straight. You lose so much time to your competitors, and point in fact, going from P1 to P9 is the cost of that pit stop. That's massive in a race like this. So I don't want to say that it's a default thought. Obviously, the two stoppers have worked. It nearly worked for Luke Stone and Nick Pfaff in round 1. It may still work out for a number of drivers in Lobby 2, but 30 seconds, I mean, you've got to be going quick, and I mean really quick.
Yeah, and you've got to be looking after tyres and fuel at the same time also. So you can't just rev this car out, and you can't just hammer the soft tyres, because they won't last more than 6 or 7 laps if you're not looking after them correctly. So yeah, it's a thinking man series, this one. It's not like a lot of other series in GT7 in the leagues that we see around Australia and New Zealand at the moment. It is one of those thinking man series where it's a little bit like a game of chess, George. It's like a game of American football. It's a little bit about talent and pace and skill, but also about thinking and doing the numbers right.
I might try and replace that American football reference with snooker. But nonetheless, yeah, completely agreed. It takes thinking, it takes thought. I think that's what makes the TCR series great. Even when we didn't have tuning on for the past 3 seasons, there was such a huge component of saving your resources, saving your tires, saving your fuel, executing the strategy correctly. We had a much larger range of requirements for tires in those previous seasons as well, and a much vaster range of tracks and different cars, one-off makes, one-off series, versus times where we had a number of Group 4 cars out on track. So it is a thinking man series. It is one that you have to spend time, as we do see Calculated Risk. And he's dived down the inside, and that did not take long. Suddenly, Calculated Risk finds himself up into P4, well ahead of Dubzito as they head into turn 6, and that's it. Move made. Very nice work by Calculated Risk, and turns out, it wasn't Dubzito we wanted to be looking at. It was Calculated Risk, and he's calculated the strategy well. Attempted dive down the inside. We wince here, the commentary and broadcasting booth, but no accidents so far. So it has been a very, very clean race overall. Where is Jansen relative to this? We see Tony Griffo now in a massive scrap to hold on to P6. He's got Dorgan Mavey and Chris Varapapa, couple of the two stoppers coming on through, and it's not working out for Griffo. He's losing positions one after the other. Every corner seems to be another overtake that's done on that Mad Turtle racing car. Next up is Chris Varapapa, who's going to be coming through very, very quickly. You can see the grip difference, the body language of the car through turn 12. It's a totally different machine at this stage, and he'll be diving on past, chooses the outside line. That'll be overtake made into turn 1.
Yeah, most probably, unless Griffo can pick up a bit of a draft here and he can defend the inside. But this just goes to show, folks, the difference in pace between the hard tyre and the mediums or the softs. Griffo was just made mincemeat of just basically in that last lap by about 3 or 4 different cars, because they were all on fresh tyres, they were on softer tyres, and they didn't have any fuel problems to worry about. So they're all going full send, and a hard tyre runner just cannot defend against a soft tyre runner on full send, George.
Exactly, and Tony Griffin's going to have a little bit of a look. He's going to try the late braking, but there's just no way. You can't gain an advantage on the hard tyre. Exactly what Ando was just saying. There is no advantage to be gained. We're on lap 23. I'd love to know the distance between Jansen and P4 as Dorgan Mavey has a bit of a moment coming through turn 6, nearly gets it a little bit loose. Matthew Joynton under a lot of pressure at this stage, and Dorgan Mavey looking very quick in the Black Rose Racing car. Don't know how much of a tyre difference we've got between the two. Is it going to be a lunge into turn 10? Yes, it is. There we go. So very nice move by Dorgan Mavey. Moves up to P6. Sub-Zeta, the next car up in the grid, and then it's Calculated Risk, who they are still actually very, very close out on track, racing soft tyres for Dorgan Mavey. Explains the pace differential. And look at these two ahead. They've actually had a scrap coming out of 12. I think they've both been compromised. Here comes Dorgan Mavey. He could be on for a fantastic result today.
Yeah, these minor positions are definitely not over with yet, as we see two Black Rose Racing cars and two Loctite cars going at it, hammer and tong, on different tyres. Morgan's on fresh softs. He's got plenty of fuel, so he is the one to beat. He's going to be in full attack mode. He could still make up 2 more positions here before the end of this race.
Could do. It looks like the gap between P4 and Jansen is quite substantial. They can see him down into turn 4 though, so they can see the mark, the target, they can see the mark, but I'd be worried about what's in the rear view mirror, because Morgan Davey, let's just use Morgan Davey, he's gone purple in sector 1. He's on an absolute charge, and Dub Zito has fallen back from Calculated Risk. Oh, he's going to look on the inside. Is it going to be a lunge into turn 6? It is. And it's going to be late on the brakes. Morgan Davey goes on through, gets the car turning beautifully into 7, and that'll be another position from him. So he's gone from right at the back of this pack in P7 and found his way up to P4. 5 already as he has a moment. He's pushing the car very hard, and Calculated Risk is now the man in his sight lines. They are teammates, of course. So either there'll be fair racing, go for it, or there'll be a let through for Davey. And it looks like at this point, Calculated Risk is not going to compete for that position. And Morgan Davey moves up to P4. It's his turn to try and charge up to Jansen, who's just up the road.
Yeah, they've only got 2 laps to go, unfortunately. And with that 4-car battle for P4, it has probably cost them a little bit of time. And Jansen's just sitting there out there on his own, just putting in those consistent lap times. He's a little bit of a sitting duck with 2 laps to go, but he might have enough of a gap, George. He might be good for a podium finish, which would be a fantastic result for him and Mad Turtle Racing.
Executed a strategy wonderfully today. He started on that racing hard tyre. He held up his competitors. He got onto the faster tyre and just went for it. He even gave up some time to his teammate, and his teammate drove off the track and lost the position. So he's been in all sorts of weird situations today, has Jansen, but he's had good, consistent pace out there today. I tell you what, he's had a good few laps out there, and it's been consistent, Ando. It's been consistent. So he's been able to calculate his fuel and tyres throughout the race and execute the strategy properly.
Yeah, exactly. So he would be probably a very good candidate for driver of the day at the moment. But this battle pack of 4, it's not over yet, is it? It's still going on, and there's a 5th driver joining the party, I think, too, in Motorsport 32. And these minor placings with 1 lap to go are definitely not over yet. This is shaping up to be a ding-dong battle on this last lap of the race.
This is what we love to see. We're coming up to the last lap of the race as Dub Zito runs very deep onto the corner. Motorsport 32 is going to have an opportunity. They're low on fuel. Look at Dub Zito. He's got just enough fuel for 1 lap. It's going to be really, really close for him. He might need a fuel save a little bit towards the end of this race. And Matthew Joynton trying to hold on to 6th place and find a way to overtake Calculated Risk in front. And it'll have to be a Calculated Risk from these drivers, because it is the last lap. You don't want to make a big mistake. You don't want to pick up a penalty. It's the last 4 or so kilometers to go in Lobby 2. We've had a wonderful tapestry woven back together in terms of the strategies in this mid-pack. Everything between P3 and P8 has been absolutely wild. I have to admit, Gridline Racing really running away with it as we see Dubzito taking a little bit of a bite, but nothing quite there for him to latch onto at this stage. Last couple of quarters, and it is through turn 12 for Gridline Racing. Scott Taylor, he's had the pace over his teammate Mark Pacheco. He's calculated the strategy perfectly. He's got almost no fuel, and for the final time, he'll run up the hill through the left-hand kink, and he will be taking P1 and a checkered flag. It's going to be a massive trifecta for Gridline Racing at Interlagos in round 4. Exactly what their championship competitors don't want to be seeing, but Scotty will be a happy team owner and a happy driver today. But Checo comes across the line in P2, and Jansen for Mad Turtle Racing, I think he's going to hold on. Yes, he will. Dorgan Mavey hasn't made enough progress, even though he's on absolutely no fuel. Jansen will cross the line, I believe, in P3, and what a race for Mad Turtle Racing. Let's head over now to our results. Fantastic stuff. Lobby 2 never fails to disappoint. Neither did Lobby 1, of course. And it is Scott Taylor on the pole position there. And unlike what we saw in the first lobby, he does take the full points victory today. 52 points. And that is, of course, a race win, a qualifying pole position. 2 extra points for Gridline Racing in the Teams Championship for having 2 drivers finish in the top 3. Then it's Mark Pacheco for Gridline Racing, 46 points. Lyle Rensburg, remember that name, folks. He has done a fantastic bit of work. The South African driver for Mad Turtle Racing picks up 44 points for himself in the Drivers' Championship. Then it is Dorgan Mavey, or also known as Morgan Davey for Black Rose Racing in P4, followed by Marcel Albertin, who did start on the podium positions but finds himself down in P5 at the end of the race, and Matthew Joinson, who came out of nowhere, lightning literally on the hard tyre at the beginning of the race, fell off a little bit towards the end with a 2-stop strategy and 38 points to his name. Andrew, give us your summary of that race. We had some great strategies to call, some great action, some good overtakes. Give us your call and summary of the race today, and let's talk driver of the day.
Yeah, some solid action there. Again, George, always good to see in Lobby 2, but it looks like that one-stop strategy was the superior one. It's come out on top in both lobbies today. So Scott Taylor and Mark Pacheco, great job. They've managed to hold off Cougar in the team's battle. So they've maintained their lead, even though Cougar got a clean sweep in Lobby 1. Gridline have replicated it in Lobby 2, so they've still got that 40-odd point lead in the championship. But driver of the day, yeah, George, I think I'm going to have to give it to Rensburg. He came out of sort of nowhere there with a really good effort and a good, well-executed strategy. And he did start a little bit further down the pack, I think, but he's made up places and finished on the podium. So my driver of the day goes to Jansen.
Fantastic. If we didn't have so many good candidates today, I'd be giving it to Dorgan Mavey for reversing the first letters in his first and last name. It's just funny, and it's been giving me a headache all the way through. I think Morgan David did very well in this race. He's also come out of the woodwork and in P4 too. I think, though, I have to agree, Rensburg, what an absolute drive today. Fantastic stuff at a podium position. You can't scoff at that. One of Mad Turtle's best results of the season so far, and in a lobby where you've got the likes of Gridline Racing. That's tricky to pull off. So let us know in chat who your driver of the day is, and we will calculate those results and see where things land. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your Lobby 2 coverage. It's been an absolute pleasure, Andrew Scott, having you back in the co-commentator role in the commentary box with us with TrackSpot TV. Give us some last words, and I hope you enjoyed Lobby 2 today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, George. Good to be here. I'm a little bit jet-lagged, having just pulled off a night shift, but yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed that call today, and also the Lobby 1 call. You and Nick did a great job. Thanks to Matt there in the broadcasting duties, and thanks to all you out there in YouTube land for watching, and thanks to the drivers for putting on such a good show.
Fantastic. Right, well, that is your Lobby 2 coverage. Thank you all for staying tuned. We are now going to switch back to our original screen and run through the results. Let's head there now. And here are the standings. It is Ryan Spann still in the lead, but now equal. How good is this driver championship shaping up to be? 248 points apiece between Ryan Spann and Scott Taylor. Shows how critical it was that Cooke decided to let Ryan take that victory here at Interlagos today. Mark Pacheco in P3 on 222 points, followed closely by Nick Pfaff for Astra Racing on 220. Then it's Campbell Knowles and Luke Stone rounding out your top 6. In P7, it is Matthew Joinson for Jürgen Global on 202, very close to that top 6 position. Lyle Rensburg with a 3rd place result today elevates himself right through the field ahead of Chris Farepapa in P9. Michael Brill, Troy Britnell and Dave Crook round out your top 12 in the driver standings. For the teams, it is looking like this, and not a massive change in terms of the top 2. Gridline Racing still ahead, with Cooke Driver Development on their heels, but still a fair way off. Team 55 is just ahead, and I mean just, by 8 points of Lightning Motorsport in P4, Team Capital in P5, equal with Astra Racing in P6. Then in P7, it's Mad Turtle Racing, Rusty Nuts Racing in P8, 4 points ahead of Hassel 1 Motorsport, looking for a comeback in the latter half of the season. CP Motorsports equal on 244 points with Jürgen Global, and then Brackler's Racing rounding out the top 12 in the team's title. Well, it's been a fantastic round in round 4, and ahead of us, we continue the American leg of the TCR Cup Season 4 with Road Atlanta, a favourite of Ando's, a favourite of mine, and a favourite of the drivers coming up for your viewing pleasure in 1 week's time. Then we'll be heading to the fictional circuit of Trial Mountain, and then we head back to Europe for Dragon Trail Gardens 2, the Nürburgring Sprint, Lago Maggiore GP, fantastic place that is rarely seen on the calendar, and then Catalonia GP in round 10. Sponsor, of course, Mercury Walch, proudly sponsoring the TCR Cup. For all your commercial printing, digital printing and needs in that area, go and check them out at www.mercurywalch.com.au. Big thanks to MotorMotion E-Series, all the drivers, and TrackSpot TV. Check us out on Facebook, Discord, and YouTube. Until next time, we'll see you later. Have a great weekend.